Hey folks, welcome to Guitar Daily. It's Nick Granville coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. So that was just a little funky kind of groove thing, just improvising over the top of it. So today what I'd talk about is a few kind of phrasing things you can do to work on your playing. Kind of take it away from being quite so predictable. Do you know what I mean? So what is it that makes something sound predictable? I'd say the first thing is, like, we expect things to start or finish on beat one, don't we? Right? That's kind of a logical place to start, right? So as soon as you get away from starting on beat one, all of a sudden your playing is more interesting. So for example, 1, 2, 3. So there I went, right? I played across the bar line and I started with a little pickup into it, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, there's a little bit of unpredictability in it. Now we want some predictability in our playing, don't get me wrong. You don't want to be completely unpredictable. It's going to be like some alien music. But that's one place to start, right? Picking up into bars. So it's 1, 2. Something like that, right? I'm picking up into the bar, and then and you expect it to finish on beat one with my pickup, but I play across it and I come into the next bar. So that's one thing you can do, right? As a pickup. Another thing you can do too is try and get your ideas to play, not necessarily just as a pickup but across the bar, but ending across the bar as well too. So if we get to say, I don't know, if we're thinking in 4-bar chunks in terms of our phrasing, say at the end of the 12 bar, right, which is 4, 4, and 4, that third 4-bar phrase, we can play across it. So I can go something like this. 1, 2. So you see there I played right across the phrase and sort of brought it back round slightly afterwards. It takes the predictability out of it, right? Another thing you can do is vary your rhythm, right? So if we play generally eighth notes across something like that, it's going to become predictable, right? Because people are going to know, oh, well, he's just played eighth notes, so now if I get more eighth notes, that's kind of what I'm expecting. So something like... Right, 16ths really at that. If you're thinking twice as fast, you'd think of those as eighths. But it becomes predictable, right? But as soon as I do something like... right, and I'm sort of breaking up the rhythm. So I can do that in lots of different ways. Hemiolas, polyrhythmic stuff. But also just something as simple as like... breaking the rhythm that I'm doing, right? Not breaking the groove. I still want the tempo to stay the same, but I want to get like a new kind of rhythmic phrasing to it, right? So instead of being like, say it was 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, if I just step that up to be triplets, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, right? So eighths. You can see there, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a da da da. And there, you noticed I started off with triplets, but then that becomes predictable too. If I start playing a row of triplets, I've gone from eighths, I've gone into triplets, then that becomes predictable too, doesn't it? And it's sort of like you go, oh, well, now I'm expecting that he'll play triplets. But if I leave some notes out, so instead of going 1 and a, I can go and a, right? And just leave the 1 out. 1 and a, right? Right, something like that just kind of takes it out of it. Same thing with going to 16th notes, right? As soon as I start breaking up the 16ths, it starts to become a lot more interesting, right? Instead of being like completely predictable and going, okay, well, it's just going to be a row of 16ths. Maybe I go away from that and I kind of break it up in various different ways. And there's so many ways you can do this, right? I don't necessarily want to say do it like this or do it like this, but when you're working on your improvising, I think it's a really good idea to try all of these things. And one thing I've done quite successfully is sit down and draw out all the 16th notes that you have in a grid, right? You'll draw all 16 notes out and then try and make up a random pattern out of that, right? So maybe I'll go, okay, this note, and this note, and then see what that sounds like to play. Okay, and then I'll make a little groove out of it and the thing, and I'll kind of play that for a little while until it gets comfortable. Then I'll make up a new pattern out of that grid, and let's see how that becomes, right? Give that a try. It's a good one to kind of break up your phrasing a little bit, right? Another thing too is to think about how, like, if you want to take it out of being, you're playing out of being completely predictable, think about like what you're doing to embellish the sound, right? If I play something like, right, it's largely kind of just straight notes with a little bit of vibrato on the last note, but I could go, completely different effect, right? So many different ways that I can do that to take it away from being predictable. Now, all these things I work on when I practice, right? But when I go to play, like on a gig or whatever, the work's done, right? I'm not thinking about any of this stuff when I play. I'm interacting with the band. I'm interacting with the audience, importantly. I'm trying to think, what does the music need right now? Like, you know, does it need me to kind of get out of the way of the music? Does it need me to be kind of more hands-on as a leader? Like, all those kinds of things are what I'm thinking when I'm on the gig. But this is stuff I practice all the time. And the idea being that I want to embed it in my playing so that when I'm out there, and a lot of my gigs are improvised, even the funk gigs, right? A lot of times when people play funk gigs, they're pretty set in their way. Not with me. When I do my double drummer band, for example, 2 drums, organ and guitar, there's literally no set list. There's no kind of discussing what we're going to do in any way. I start something and we go. Now, I know the tunes that, depending on who I have playing organ, I know the tunes that he knows, that Leo knows. If I have depending on who's playing drums, I know which various drummers know particular tunes. So I've got some safe things I can go into because we've played so much together. But the idea of it is improvised funk music, right? Just in the same way jazz music can be improvised. But I'm practicing this stuff. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. If you have, please subscribe. I'll play out with more of that groove. It's kind of fun to play over. Please like. If you haven't liked the video, that helps too. You got me.